Hello, BookTube. I just had to get a little relief from the weight of extra work that is on my shoulders this week. A little extra relief. Of course, the bean provides me with relief, but I felt that I needed to walk a bit away from that weight until it shifts, which it should tomorrow. And you'll just never guess the form that my relief took. Yes, I accumulated a pile of books. They were all free. They were all looking for homes. They would all have been thrown away if I didn't step in. So I got a lot of stuff, including some doubles, some wild gambles, some things that I have as ebooks, so I don't particularly need them. But the offer was take as many as you want. The offer was fill a box. The offer was somebody else will carry the box for you. The offer was that somebody will drive you home. So I indulged myself. I want to show you what I got. Now, the first two are battered old Signet Regency romances. I've said many times on this channel before how much I love Signet Regency romances. I just do. They're not made anymore. And the Regencies that are made now, they are still a very popular subgenre of romance, set allegedly during the Regency period in England. But once upon a the Regencies that are made now are bodice rippers in the true sense of the word, where the characters are side-arming cutlery off the dining room table in Chapter 2. In the Regency romances I'm thinking of, the old Signet and Zebra and Avon Regency romances, they are built more along the lines of Barbara Cartland by way of Jane Austen. So there isn't anything like that. There isn't anything explicit. It's all badinage. It's all wordplay and funny encounters and misunderstood motives and whatnot. I love them. I think for me, they are, you probably have something similar. For me, they are the ultimate palate cleanser. When I'm in a rut, when I'm getting one bad new release after another, I get one of these from my rather substantial collection and read them. I am pretty sure that I have both of the ones that I got today in mass market paperback, and I'm pretty sure I also have them as ebooks because their author is famous. A lot of mainstream romance authors got their start in either series books by Harlequin or Mills and Boon or by these old Regencies. And the author is Katherine Coulter. I found two Katherine Coulter Regency romances that I'm certain that I have. One of them I'm sure that I have because I've already read it. And that's this, The Autumn Countess, which I loved. Look at the beautiful cover there. Look at how her outfit offsets not only the bright red of his hunting outfit, but also the bright red of the room. Just these were the days when these things were done, when there was a significant amount of original artwork done on these covers. And I also found Lord Harry's Folly, which has a library sticker on it. That's going to be tough to get off. These things, the ones that have bordered in blue or yellow, they are tough to remove. I will do it, but it's tough to do. And this was from the Boston Public Library. This was discarded from the Boston Public Library. So, I don't know. I'm going to check. It's high time I dealt with my romance bookshelf anyway. It moved into poorer quarters, so it's all cramped and crowded. It's high time I changed that and dealt with that, and then I will see maybe this copy is not worth keeping. I mean, it's in rough shape, and this thing is going to take 2 hours to get off there and make it look as though it was never there. I probably have this already in a very acceptable mass market, in which case I really can just let this thing go. I didn't want to let either one of them go as long as they were there. I didn't want to let many of these things go. This next one was relatively new, right? This is 2016. Is that right? 2014. A big fantasy novel that I remember kind of sort of liking. This is by Cameron Hurley, and it's The Mirror Empire. Big, thick thing that works along the lines of A Song of Ice and Fire, where you've got humans and other races doing what they do, fighting and empiring and backstabbing and whatnot. But set against that, you have a more or less impersonal natural disaster that is set to engulf them all. I remember liking this back when I read it 10 years ago. So I would rather that I'd found a hardcover, but I'll definitely reread the paperback. About time. Then I found an old mass market paperback. I just grabbed it by reflex. I've had this many, many times. I don't know if this mass market paperback will hold up to a front-to-back reread, but this is An American Tragedy by Theodore Dreiser. This particular paperback has an introductory essay by Irving Howe, who's terrific on Dreiser. Really, really understands Dreiser, and that puts him in the minority because nobody reads Theodore Dreiser anymore. Maybe in school, if you take a very advanced class that isn't in a school that isn't ideologically captured, because Theodore Dreiser was a white man, you might read Sister Carrie, maybe, but you won't read The Financier or American Tragedy. You won't read this at all. So he's on his way out as a living author, which is kind of astonishing to say, but I like him. I like him a lot. So, and I don't have this in a mass market paper. Don't have it in any print format. Now that I think about it off the top of my head, I'm not up on whether or not Penguin Classics has got around to Theodore Dreiser. I can't imagine that they don't do a Sister Carrie, but they might not do American Tragedy. Actually, that's not supposed to happen. That's supposed to be silenced. Then we have, let's do a couple of murder mysteries. Do a couple of murder mysteries and move on from there. So the first murder mystery here, I just keep finding these in mass market paperback. I have them all as ebooks, but I keep finding them as mass market paperbacks, and they're always either cheap or free. And there's a joy to them in mass market paperback or in hardcover. I just recently found one in hardcover. This is Jane Langton of blessed memory, and this is Dark Nantucket Noon, a Homer Kelly mystery. These are largely New England in scope, and this one is, if I remember correctly, there's a map at the front to let you know. Yeah. There's a map of, that is the island of Nantucket, off the coast of Massachusetts, the state where I live, the greatest state in the Union. There are two big tourist attraction islands off the coast of Massachusetts. One, the bigger, is Martha's Vineyard, and that's right off the coast. If you get on the ferry that runs regularly during the spring and summer from the coast, you will barely have time to sit down and get an overpriced bag of chips from the vending machine and eat the contents of that bag before you are pulling in to Martha's Vineyard. Nantucket is a good deal further away, and once upon a time in the pre-modern days where I knew it very well, it was very far away and closed down. Basically, closed down during the winter, when even regular ferry service would largely stop, and if you were going to overwinter on Nantucket, you were in for an experience, a homesteader kind of experience, and it was a great experience. That Nantucket is largely a thing of the past. At the time that this novel takes place, this novel stars Homer Kelly and his wife, who are amateur. They are academics and amateur sleuths, and they manage to find trouble all over bright spots in New England: Walden Pond, the world of Emily Dickinson, the Gardner Museum, the Memorial Hall, and also outside of New England. They go to Italy, for instance, and also parts further north or further south to get acquainted with more exotic mysteries. But sorry, I'm a little bit distracted because there's some schmutz on this thing, but I want to keep this. I like the Jane Langton does the artwork on these things that are all throughout the book, and that lives a little better in a mass market paperback or a hardcover than it does in an ebook. It shouldn't. If ebooks had followed pace with what technology allows, this would seem primitive on every level. But ebooks didn't do that. So, we've got March Mystery Madness right around the corner. And I think I saw this. When I saw this, I wondered if this was number 9 in the list. Because the front of it says Jane Langton is the author of 8 other Homer Kelly mysteries. But I don't think this is number 9. I think God in Concord is about Henry David Thoreau and the Transcendentalist is number 9. I think this is just deceptive advertising. It's just saying 8 other Homer Kelly mysteries before and after this one. But it doesn't matter. I still want this, and I will find the 9th book in this series. And then this next one, I don't know this book at all. I don't know if it's in a series, and if so, how many there are. I got it because it's a murder mystery. I got it because we're right on the cusp. We're just half a month away from March Mystery Madness, when I'll be talking about mysteries a lot more on this channel. And also because it has a cat on the cover, and I could tell in an instant that it was a cozy mystery. And one of the little things that I would like to do for March Mystery Madness this time around is cozy up a little more to cozy mysteries. I don't particularly like them. even though Homer Kelly, I think, would certainly qualify. I don't know that I don't like them. I don't think I fully understand them, and I definitely don't understand their appeal. So during March, I want to read more cozy mysteries. This is by Ellery Adams, and it's called Murder in the Locked Library. Permanently checked out. There is the Wethersfield Proctor Library there on the cover. Not only does this have a cat on the cover, which is, I believe, one of the prompts for March Mystery Madness, but it's a tuxedo cat, which fancy dress is also one of the prompts. I don't know what number this is. What have we got here? Storyton Hall, Virginia, where book lovers travel from near and far to enjoy the singular comforts of the Agatha Christie tea room. With her twins, Fitzgerald and Hemingway, back in school, Jane Stewart can finally focus on her work again, managing Storyton Hall and breaking ground on the resort's latest attraction, a luxurious, relaxing spa named in honor of Walt Whitman. When the earth is dug up to start laying the spa's foundation, something else comes to the surface, a collection of unusual bones and the ragged remnants of a very old book. The attendees of the rare book conference are eager to assist Jane in this unexpected historical mystery until a visitor meets an untimely end in the Henry James Library. As the questions and suspects start stacking up, Jane will have to uncover the killer before more unhappy endings ensue. It's classic cozy mystery. It was a whim. It was free. I can never have enough murder mysteries. Of course, that isn't the Wethersfield Proctor Library up in small town Vermont. And if it were, well, every time there's a murder at the Wethersfield Proctor Library, the officials in Vermont know who the killer is. Somebody came into the library and got out of line. That's one of Mark's duties as the library director. Down they go into the dungeon. And then we have science fiction. We have one science fiction novel that I really, really like that is not known at all, and one that I really, really like that is really well known. We start with a really well known one. I found another mass market paperback of Neuromancer by William Gibson. Science fiction pedants will say that the whole cyberpunk movement was started by other people and not by this book. Of course, this book did start the cyberpunk movement, and I don't really care what experiments people were doing beforehand. This is when I would argue that this book and this author not only started cyberpunk as a well-known subgenre of science fiction, but also embodied and ended it. I don't think anyone's ever done this way anywhere near as well, even though we look at the technology in this novel and think, how primitive. I never expected when this thing came out in the 80s. Is that right? 1984. I never expected, when I read this when it first came out, when I first got my hands on it, in 1985, I think. And I was blown away by it. It never occurred to me that I would live to see the technology that we have now. That never occurred to me in a million years. I assumed, like everybody else did, that the world would end by nuclear fire sometime in the next 10 years. I certainly didn't imagine when I was reading this, I was thinking, what? The technology is interactive? It never occurred to me that I would live to see the day. So that's the well-known science fiction novel. And I don't think I have a mass market of it. We're trying to get a mass market of Neuromancer. Out the window it goes. Somebody wants it right away. And as I've said many times before, you people know exactly how to play me like a cheap banjo. You just say, I live in a book desert. I don't trust the internet. There are sharks all over the internet. I never get anywhere. The nearest bookstore is 1,200 miles away, uphill the whole way. Could you please, would you mind? You even throw in the insult added to injury by saying, I'd be happy to pay you for postage, as if I've ever charged anyone for postage. But anyway, the other science fiction novel is this. It's Growing Up Weightless by John M. Ford. A genuinely weird figure that wrote a lot of great stuff. This cover makes mention of the dragon waiting, which I believe is probably his masterpiece. But his science fiction is really good. This is entirely set on the moon, on Earth's moon, which is deeply fascinating to me. And I don't know, you can't make it out. The cover makes it look like just an ordinary science fiction novel, right? Except you've got this figure and these domes, but you've also got dew-bespattered leaves. It's only the full painting that shows that maybe something really weird is going on here. I haven't read this thing since it came out, which I think was also in the 1993. Okay, I haven't read this. I read this was the paperback that I read when I read it, but I haven't read it in, what is that, 30 years. So I was happy to find it, give it a home for free. Then we have a book that will feature prominently on tomorrow's CPL Radio Books of the Week episode. Those of you who were fans of CPL Radio's Book of the Day, those videos are gems. They are all still up on the CPL Radio YouTube channel. I will leave a link to it down below. But thanks to the machinations of and the dogged persistence, I might add, of my producer, we are now back. The comeback nobody wanted. We are now back with not Book of the Day, but Books of the Week, where every week on Friday we will talk about 3 books. 1 work of fiction, 1 work of nonfiction, and 1 wild card. And the wild card that we're picking this week is this, Orlando by Virginia Woolf. I just happened to find this paperback in the piles and piles of books. I didn't look through everything that was there, or this would be 5 times as big. But this paperback has period illustrations all throughout, which is lots and lots of fun, and which again will lose something of their punch in an electronic version. I don't think any electronic version even has them, but it wouldn't be the same. I found this. I'll clean it up. It's in pretty good shape. I'll clean it up. This is well worth a reread for anybody. This did well for Virginia Woolf. People were already talking about her. This cemented that fact, and it's delightful. It's a delightful book, and also it's now in copyright. So out of copyright. So if you wanted to download the text of Orlando by Virginia Woolf, write up an introduction of your own, use AI to design a cover and publish it, you could sell it for money. It doesn't have a copyright anymore as of 2024. Then we have a novel that I just love. I've read this I don't know how many times. I keep getting rid of it. I keep sending it away. This is Old Filth by Jane Gardam. This is just a weird, strange novel. The more you read it, the stranger it seems. No, it's a novel about an old lawyer. Filth is an acronym for Failed in London, Try Hong Kong. It's where you go to be a grandee. Only we meet this figure much later in his life, when he has settled into a life of permanent retirement. He is a little bit enfeebled. Life embarrasses him. It's really difficult to explain the appeal of this book once you've explained just the raw outline of the plot, but it definitely has appeal. Strong contender for the Steve Tiberius Donoghue Book Club. Very strong. Then Penguin Modern Classic. This is a Penguin 20th Century Classics. They did these 20th Century Classics with the off-green spines in trade paperback. A lot of editorial care went into those 20th Century Classic Penguins. I wish I had a whole bunch of them. Sooner or later, the Brattle here in Boston will provide. Sooner or later, somebody who's sitting on 100 of them will drop off the twig, and they will all show up at the Brattle. And then I can pick and choose. But I found one today, just in a pile of old Tom Clancy's. I found one today that would have been one of the first ones I would have grabbed. This is The Middle Parts of Fortune by Frederick Manning. A thin little thing that is one of the greatest war novels ever written, one of the greatest World War I novels ever written, certainly, but war just in general. I would put this, for fictional treatments of war, I would put this on any kind of a list. It is jarring and jagged and very moving. A lot of it drawn from the author's own World War I experiences. He was a wreck. He had the pulmonary capacity of a little baby, but he managed to get his way into war. He was rejected over and over again, but he managed to get his way not only into the theater of war in World War I, but to the front lines at the Somme. And he knew everybody in the literary world, just everybody of his day. Knew probably best of all Lawrence of Arabia, but he knew everybody else as well. And they all esteemed his writing ability. And yet you've never heard his name. Most readers have never heard his name. They all esteemed his writing ability. They all thought he was at least as talented as any of them were. And, Ernest Hemingway and Lawrence of Arabia, these were not small egos. They thought he was at least as talented as they were, and probably more so. And they awarded an unbelievable amount of accolades to this book. I don't have an ebook of it. As far as I know, it's still in copyright somewhere by somebody. I don't think that you can get a free copy of this on Project Gutenberg. And I never see it in used bookstores, so I was glad to have it. Yeah, this has a blurb. The cover has a blurb from Ernest Hemingway, the finest and noblest book of men in war I have ever read. So something of the find of the day. Very happy to see it there. Then we have a biography. I couldn't let there were a bunch of biographies there, but there weren't. Actually, these next two are basically two biographies, but there were a bunch of biographies there, but a lot of them were in pretty rough shape. And also a lot of them were entertainment biographies or sports biographies, which don't really do it for me. But this I have had. This I think I actually reviewed. This is from, when were you made? 2005. Oh no, so that would have been right before I got back into reviewing. Maybe I didn't review this then. This is by Mary Lovell, who wrote a book called The Sisters that was really, really good. And this is her biography of Bess of Hardwick. An utterly remarkable woman. Just an utterly... Oh no, I think it was the next Bess of Hardwick biography that I reviewed. I think I reviewed a Bess of Hardwick biography for the Washington Post that came out probably 10 years after this one, or 5 or 6 years after this one. I'll have to remember. I'll try to remember to find it. Again, if I forget, the way to know is to just type in my first name, my last name, then Bess and Hardwick into Google. That will probably do it. That's usually how I find these things. I feel strongly that I did. I can't remember if it was a biography or if it was Philippa Gregory's novel, The Other Queen, in which Bess of Hardwick is a character. Or maybe even Susanna Dunn's novel, The Sixth Wife, in which Bess of Hardwick is a major character. Bess of Hardwick was an utterly remarkable figure in Elizabethan England. And this is one of the latest biographies. And now I'm thinking there might be a later biography. But I remember really liking this. So, and I couldn't, the minute I saw it, I thought, oh, why on earth would you get rid of that? Who would you ever send that to? But I must have. So I don't tend to get rid of biographies. So now I have it again. And it also is a serious contender for the Steve Tiberius Donoghue Book Club. And then the final thing here, I confess I have never seen this hardcover. I don't even know the publishing house, Andre Deutsch, but I know the book really, really well. This is 1,000 Days by Arthur Schlesinger. This is Kennedy in the White House. You've got just a white letter K on a gold background. That is the colophon, a bow and arrow. And then you've got the author and his subject, the author and President Kennedy there. Where the photographer told Kennedy to look interested, which was tough to do when Schlesinger was around. It was tough to even pretend that you were interested, but Kennedy did his best. Notice the 45-degree angle head cock. He figured, well, if I'm going to fake being interested, I should do it the way an Irish setter would do it. But, you got to have a cover jacket. I'm sure that Schlesinger was proud of that picture. And this is a terrific book. Just absolutely terrific, unbelievably readable, and really fair. It came out, and I know that detractors of Kennedy will say that the awards that it won, I think it won the Pulitzer Prize, National Book Award, won a whole bunch of awards. And I know that cynics, who never seem to unlimber their cynicism on any other figure in history except Kennedy, will say that was all just, in the 1960s, that was the national hangover of grief. Of course, any book that on this subject was going to be awarded everything in the world. It's always easy to tell people who've read this book from people who haven't. But I found it. I've never seen this copy, and the copy that I have is fairly beaten up, so I'd gladly have it, and it was free. All these things just fell into my hands, so that was our mail haul. Not a mail haul, no. I don't think I have time for mail hauls or read-alongs or thought videos or response videos or anything like that. I don't think I do. Especially today. I don't think I do. We're just going to have to wait for things to go back to normal tomorrow or on the weekend. But in the meantime, I did get out, I did walk around, and I did accumulate some books that I don't need at all. I needed to stretch my legs just a little, apart from stretching my legs with the bean. We have done that. We did that several times today because the weather in Boston, fortunately, has gone right back to normal. It's bright and sunny. It's bone dry. No moisture of any kind, including dew. And the temperatures are in the mid 50s, mid 60s, mid 50s or 60s. The temperature plummets to 57 degrees Fahrenheit in winter here in Boston. That's how you know that it's winter, is that the temperature will plummet into the upper 50s. And then gradually that changes, and soon you get to summer when the temperature is in the upper 90s, or as I predict this summer, the upper 120s. So literally more than twice what it is today. But fine, beautiful weather. So we've been out quite a bit, including one walk where we met her mailman. There's a mailman in the neighborhood who carries treats for dogs, little biscuits for dogs. And Frida knows him. Now, she knows him at sight from a great distance. And she sets up a banshee's caterwauling when she sees him. Like she hasn't been fed in years. And today she was jumping all over him and saying hi to him and greeting him and getting her treat. And she was just finishing up her treat when a guy walked by with a big, floofy golden retriever who was adorable, absolutely adorable. He saw Frida and immediately laid down. She ran over to him and was just standing over him and staring at him and ramming her nose into his crotch and whatnot. He took it like a sweetheart, an absolute sweetheart. And then he noticed the mailman. And of course, he knows the mailman as well as every other dog in the neighborhood does. This is the guy that has biscuits. So he bolted to his feet. He brushed past Frida, which she doesn't like. He ran over to the mailman and jumped up on him. But because he was a golden retriever and because I think he was a little young, he lost his balance and started gyrating a little on his hips. And because of that, his big floofy tail swept across and struck Frida. And of course, since she's tiny, it knocked her ass over Tika. So that keeps happening to my little baby. She keeps getting reminded of how small she is. She got just blasted by this adorable dog's tail. And when she gained her feet, she was white faced with fury. I had to calm her down. It was just an accident. But that was all. I'm pretty sure that and this are all the leeway I can give myself. I'm sorry about that. I want to be inundating you with me, same as you want to be inundated with me. I want to be making 5 videos plus a Steve stream. It will happen again, but I don't think it's going to be today. So, but you got a lot of books to look at anyway. You got 1,000 Days, Kennedy in the White House. You got Bess of Hardwick, one of the biographies I've written about this character. You got The Middle Parts of Fortune by Frederick Manning. Old Filth by Jane Garden. Orlando by Virginia Woolf, which now that I think about it is also a great contender for the Steve Tiberius Donoghue Book Club. And then a bunch of mass market paperbacks. We had Growing Up Weightless, science fiction by John M. Ford. Neuromancer by William Gibson. Murder in the Locked Library. Death in the Wethersfield Proctor Library. Dark Nantucket New, a Homer Kelly mystery set largely on the island of Nantucket. An American Tragedy by Theodore Dreiser in this sturdy old mass market paperback. Mirror Empire by Cameron Hurley, a classic all stops pulled out fantasy novel. And 2 Old Regencies by Katherine Coulter. There's Lord Harry's Folly. I'm going to go looking for my original copy of that, see if I need this one. And The Autumn Countess, which is terrific. So I couldn't leave it behind when all these things are, faced with imminent demise. but that was my one get out of jail book haul for today. I'm going to have to let everything else go and just talk to you tomorrow. Sorry about that. You're always free to email me and you're free to Voxer me. I am a little bit socked with work, but the work that I'm doing is at least on a keyboard. So if you email me or Voxer me, I'm right there. There's a higher chance of that than of stopping everything to make videos and then, worry about them and think about them as they're uploading. So I'm gonna sign off for now, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.